Hi everyone, this is Steph with Snakes and Psychology. Today I want to talk about kind of where I am, how my health is doing, and sorry for the long hiatus by the way, quite a few things have changed. Essentially my boss's boss has secured me a job away from where I am, which means I can move somewhere else. I can stay in paid employment, but hopefully, maybe enjoy my life for a change, which would be nice. So I have been obese for a while now, and it's largely visceral fat, and this all happened as a consequence of basically being forced to come to this job in Pembrokeshire, which I despise and have despised for the 3 years that I've been here. So I've been over 100 kilos for about 2 years now, or at least 18 months. I think I basically gained weight for the first 18 months and I seem to have plateaued out. And I have slightly more recently been diagnosed with a fatty liver. So the doctor here hasn't used the term fatty liver disease, but that's what fatty liver is, so I guess that's where we are. It's not harmful in and of itself for a short amount of time. If it's left as it is, it does turn into cirrhosis of the liver, which can cause premature death. And also a fatty liver is a really strong indicator that the person will develop diabetes. So as much as my blood glucose levels aren't showing pre-diabetes, I would say my liver is. So this is pretty serious now. It's also quite scary how quickly this has happened. I don't know if 18 months sounds like a long time, but it hasn't felt like it. Although it is long enough that I've kind of forgotten what it feels like to be the kind of athletic, kind of forward-thinking person that I used to be. I kind of feel like I've lost part of myself, or I've certainly lost part of my identity, or my identity's changed, which I've already kind of ranted about at length, so I won't bother here. I did find myself getting kind of angry today about the fact that it very much feels like it's not my fault. This is something that's been done to me. I know that there are going to be some of you that say like, oh well, why not just quit the job? Unfortunately, it's a public job that when you quit, you have to work another 12 months. So I did. I quit as soon as I could because it became very apparent that they weren't going to let me leave here, and I basically had to sign off to save my own health and probably, in fact, I would say, save my own life. Because if I knew that I was going to have to be here for much longer, I think we would be in real trouble in terms of my mental health. It got pretty bad for a while. But I'm out of here soon, which is great, and the fact that I know that I'm only going to be here for a very short time, probably only a few more weeks, is enough to make me feel good enough that I can kind of start looking at improving my health again. Now, I've been through a big phase of kind of not consuming any self-help books or media, partly because the authors and the podcasters don't exactly need any more money. It's a several trillion pound industry, I think, at this stage. However, I did find myself watching Rangan Chatterjee's podcast here in the UK, and specifically his episode with Robert Lustig. Now, I know he's probably a bit of a controversial figure to some people that know, but I'm not entirely sure why, because I think his approach just seems so sensible. Whole foods, and his mantra is feed the gut, protect the liver, which falls squarely into what I need to do to save myself, essentially. So I bought his book, which looks like this. Sorry, I'm filming in a mirror, hence everything's backwards. But it says Metabolical, if you can't read that. I know he wrote a book, Fat Chance. I think it was quite a few years ago now. Metabolical was written in, I think it was about 2018 to 21, which is nice because it feels contemporary, and it does include aspects of the pandemic as well, because I feel like the whole landscape of, the social landscape, work landscape, diet and health landscapes have really, really changed since the pandemic. So it's nice that it kind of incorporates a lot of that. If you're interested in reading it, I will leave a link in the description, so feel free to have a look. But I would potentially just have a listen to that podcast, which I'll also link. And it was really, really refreshing to hear someone say that it's not just people eating too much and being unable to put the cake fork down. The illness comes first, the obesity comes later. Obesity is not a disease, it is a symptom. It was really refreshing to hear him talk about the difference between subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, and fat in the liver. And I do have some subcutaneous fat now, hence I've got this kind of big fucking cortisol moon face and double chin now, which I never used to have. I used to have quite a kind of a long skinny neck, which has disappeared. But the vast majority of my fat is visceral, to the point that I just constantly feel bloated, because when I poke my belly, there's not a huge amount of fat over the top of my abs. It just feels like my abs have been pushed right the way out, to the point that I look 8 months pregnant now. And yeah, I hate it. It's causing extra problems, like the fact that it's even changed how I walk, and I can barely run anymore because my whole body is trying to kind of force its way past itself. But anyway, he talks about how visceral fat is a response to cortisol, because he spent most of his working life as a doctor as a paediatric endocrinologist, so someone who looks at the endocrine system, so hormones and everything associated with that in children. Because I've been so stressed and burnt out for the last 3 years, I've basically just accumulated a huge amount of visceral fat due to persistently high cortisol levels. My resting heart rate has gone from about 55 to, I measured it yesterday actually, and it had come back down to 80 something, but it had been over 100. So my resting heart rate had doubled. My poor nervous system is absolutely shot. Just loads and loads of stress associated health problems, and the big one is fat in my liver. Unfortunately, if left untreated, will lead to cirrhosis of the liver, which causes premature death or the need for a liver transplant. But it's strongly correlated with future development of diabetes, and I don't want to be diabetic on top of everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to make an effort to start eating a whole food diet, so whole fruits, whole vegetables, meat, fish, eggs, a small amount of dairy, and that's more or less it. Now that is strict, and I know that I won't be able to adhere to that 100%, but if I use those as kind of guidelines and really try and essentially reduce the amount of carbs and sugar in my diet, this probably sounds like keto, which I don't know if it is or not, but I want to drain the fat out of my liver, get moving again, and try and lose some of the 35 or so kilos, not pounds, kilos that I've gained since coming here. I think that's about 80 pounds in US money. I'd like to lose 40. I have been that low before. That would take me down to 68 kilos. I'll let you do the maths there. But if I could lose 35 kilos, that would take me down to where I used to be. And that is about a third of my current body weight, which is a lot. I know it is, and it's going to take a long time. I would say the giant cause of all of this, the stress and just the kind of frustration with being here, is going to go. So hopefully once that's gone and I'm in a much better place with amenities in walking distance, God forbid. That's another thing, by the way. There is nothing in walking distance you could walk for 2 hours in any direction here and not find anything. No shops, no cafes, nothing. We're kind of deep in farmland here. And they actually send people here who can't drive sometimes, which is nice. So I'm going to be moving to somewhere which has amenities in walking distance. So the amount of steps I'm going to be doing is going up. I don't really have room here, but as soon as I get to where I'm going, I want to get a little sit up and beg push bike, because my triathlon road bike is quite aggressively positioned, and because my belly's so big I can't cycle and breathe at the same time, and none of my cycling gear fits me anymore. So I'm going to get just a little kind of simple, comfortable bike, maybe even cycle to work depending on how close to work I end up living. I want to start swimming again in a swimming pool that's hopefully less than half an hour drive away, and maybe start enjoying life again, who knows. So I'll keep you updated. I'll try and stick to producing weekly videos. I know it's been a couple of months since I last posted. So my current weight is about 108 kilos, and I will keep you posted how we go. And I'll see you really soon.